it was one of the worst fire incidents in Kuwait
Yeah,
since at least 2009,
yeah,
which is in the past one and a
yeah.
half decades.
Hello, everyone. I'm Flora Swine from the Indian Express, and with me I have the diplomatic editor Shubhajit Roy of the Indian Express, and we are talking about the Kuwait building fire that has claimed the lives of 49 individuals, including around 40 Indians. Shubhajit, what are the latest happenings so far?
Well, Flora, on Wednesday early morning, there was a fire incident in Kuwait, in south of Kuwait City. Kuwait
Correct.
City is the capital of Kuwait, and south of Kuwait City is this Mangaf area,
Hmm.
where it's basically a place where much of the migrant workers they live there from different nationalities. And they're in a building which was the accommodation was an apartment for these workers, for the Indian workers who live and work there. They in that particular building, it caught fire in the early hours. The report said that the first call was reported around 6 a.m. local time,
Correct.
and obviously at that point in time most of them were sleeping, and so the building caught fire. There was smoke, and people, most of them are reported to have died because of inhaling the smoke, because of asphyxiation. So the toll as of now that we know was about at least 49, about
Hmm.
50 people have died, of
Correct.
which majority of them are Indians. Around 40 of them are Indians, and the others are from other nationalities. The fire was controlled quickly, and about another 50 people, 50 to 70 people have been hospitalized, injured. Some are said to be critical. And now, right now, the investigation is on to probe to get into the what caused the fire, what caused this particular incident. So I think all in all, I think it was one of the worst fire incidents in Kuwait
Yeah,
since at least 2009,
yeah,
which is in the past one and a
yeah.
half decades. Now, obviously, investigations will reveal what happened, what are the circumstances of the incident. But it seems that there were about almost 200 people who were living in this particular building. One has to see whether it was overcapacity, whether more people were staying in that particular building than they're allowed to. The building code violations will be looked into. So all these are factors which will be looked into the investigations. The authorities, the Ministry of Deputy Prime Minister, he visited the site and sort of said that they will look into the matter. They've also condoled the deaths. Local officials have also been suspended, sacked by the administration there,
Right.
saying that for not implementing labor laws and building code violations, because this kind of an incident, it was a congested area. The Indian government so far has, yesterday the Prime Minister, External Affairs Minister, they all condoled the deaths. Prime Minister even held a meeting, a review meeting on the incident in the evening, later in the evening, where he announced about 2 lakh for the families of the deceased, and sent one of the newly appointed ministers of state, Kirtivardan Singh, to Kuwait. So he's gone to Kuwait on Thursday morning,
Hmm.
and so they are all. And the Indian ambassador was asked to visit. So he visited Indian ambassador in Kuwait, Others Swaika. He visited the hospitals, visited the site, the building, and spoke to the officials, spoke to the patients. the injured Indians to get a sense of what's happening, what was the incident, what all happened there. Gulf is extremely popular for a lot of blue-collared workers in from India. So, which would include a driver, or a domestic help to nursing assistants, and in the entire Gulf region, there are about 90 lakh people, 9 million people, Indians who live and work there.
Right.
Kuwait is one of those places where Indians go. So, in out of say 9 million people in the Gulf, or 90 lakh people in the Gulf, about 1 million people live in Kuwait. Kuwait is a tiny, small country. There, about 10 lakh Indians live and work there. The population of Kuwait itself is about 4.5 lakh. I mean, numbers vary, depending on what statistics you take, but it's about 45 lakh, 48 lakh, 42 lakh in that zone. Out of which Indians are the biggest expat community in that country.
Right.
So obviously Indians are, I mean, there are doctors, engineers, and high-tech professionals as well. There are people who work in the oil sector, but there are also people who, most of the people are the blue-collared workers who work as service in the service industry as drivers, attendants, helps, and doing all kinds of odd jobs which are in these vocations. So that's how it is. So they usually get paid anywhere between 25,000 rupees to 35,000 rupees. So that's the sort of band in which usually they get paid, which is not much if you really see, but what they would have earned here in India, it must be value for money for them. So they do a cost benefit analysis, and essentially they send all their money. Usually they are the only breadwinners in their families, or one of the two breadwinners in the families, who send almost all their money back home to sustain their families' livelihoods. In 25,000 to 35,000 rupees, better than probably what they would get here in India if they were living in their hometown or home state. Most of these victims are from the state of Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and some North Indian states. That's what we
don't have a specific state-wise number casualty yet.
No, the Indian government is still trying to ascertain and identify the identity of the victims, also their nationalities, because it's important to go through that. So that process will usually take some time. So they are obviously the building owner, or the people who are still, who are injured. They can obviously help, but depending on what condition they are in, so that it usually involves these situation involves this kind of complex exercise, and also the number is quite high. You have to see 40 people, if we are talking about that number. If that goes up, we can't say that. But as of now, at that scale of number, to identify the bodies, ascertain their nationalities, and be completely sure that it's an Indian and not say from any other country, that particular process usually takes a bit of time. Well, India-Kuwait relationship, has been a very, mostly based on the oil relationship, oil buyer-trader relationship. I think the last figures I saw, India imports about 3% of its energy crude from Kuwait, and so the total bilateral trade with Kuwait during fiscal year 2023-2024 was about $10.47 billion.
Yeah.
And in that particular in the 23-24 fiscal year, Kuwait was the ninth largest oil supplier for India, with about 3% of India's total energy needs. That's the sort of usually the trade. India has consistently been among the top trading partners of Kuwait, and Indian exports have also increased from about $1.5 billion to $2.1 billion in 2023-24. India and Kuwait marked their 60th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between the countries. India, in fact, was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic ties with the Kuwait following its independence from British protectorate in 1961.
Right.
So as you can see, there have been long standing ties with Kuwait. In Kuwait, there are about 26 schools because there's a large Indian community there, about 10 lakh. So to service them and their kids, the Indian students, there are about 26 schools in Kuwait which follow the CBSE curriculum with over 60,000 students, mainly Indians and some Arab and South Asian expats as well. So, there are a lot of these sort of close partnership because of the Indian community, which has been there for now a long time, and Indian businesses are also have been present there for 2 or 3 generations. The business of NRI-owned retail outlets like Lulu, Hypermarket, and others are also there. And Indian companies have been around from LIC, Oriental Insurance, Air India, L&T, Wipro, Tata, Ashok Leyland. They've all been present in Kuwait, obviously with local tie-ups. So that tells you a broad sort of Indian presence and India-Kuwait relationship. Here, the migrant worker used to be usually drivers, domestic help, and attendants, that kind of thing. Then they moved to carpenters, electricians, plumbers, those. Now there are delivery boys, like Swiggy, Zomato kind of a thing or Amazon kind of a thing in Kuwait. There are delivery boys there for food delivery apps or courier services. So as economy has evolved, new economy, new trades have come up. So Indians have gone there to bridge the labor shortage there. So Indians, because there's about 10 lakh, 1 million Indians there in a country, and so there is a large sort of number of labor available there, pool available there, who pick up odd jobs like these, and they get paid better than the others. We should expect some kind of accountability in that particular country where so many Indian workers are there, and their living conditions, as I explained earlier, that they're not exactly great. So those are the sort of things to look at. Obviously, the investigation into this particular incident would also be important for how this particular incident happened, whether there was a short circuit or there was a fire, what led to the current situation where 40 innocent lives and almost 50, but 40 Indians' lives have, they died because of this particular situation. So I think we have to see how the Indian government and the Kuwaiti government in the next few days, they coordinate and try to come to solutions in each of these areas, from bringing back the bodies to to improving the living conditions of the Indian workers who live and work there.
Absolutely. And this comes at the heels of the G7 summit that the Prime Minister will be attending. For all the live updates, for all the latest happenings on what is happening in Kuwait, what happens with the probe, the investigations, the identification of bodies in the fire that broke out yesterday, stay tuned to the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express and visit our website, indianexpress.com.